Not every Jeep Gladiator is worth keeping forever. Some years came loaded with recalls and headaches, while others turned out to be some of the smartest truck purchases Jeep has ever built. Today we're revealing the 5 best Gladiator years to own, and the winner might surprise even longtime Jeep fans. Let's start the countdown with number 5, the 2022 Jeep Gladiator. This is the pick for anybody who wants a great Gladiator without paying new truck money. By 2022, the truck had settled down a long way from those rocky launch years, and the open-air party trick was fully baked in. You can still yank the doors right off. You can pull the whole roof. You can even fold the windshield flat down onto the hood, which is something no rival mid-size truck on the market will let you do. Under it sits the proven 3.6-liter Pentastar V6, the same engine Jeep has run in the Wrangler and the Grand Cherokee for years, making 285 horsepower and 260 pound-feet of torque. Spec it right and it tows up to 7,650 pounds, with a payload of around 1,600 pounds in the bed. That's a lot of real capability for used truck cash. And because Jeep buyers tend to hold these trucks with an almost cult-like loyalty, demand on the used market stays strong, which keeps clean examples easy to find and easy to resell later. Now here's where it gets interesting for your wallet. Gladiators shed value quickly in their first 3 years, faster than most trucks in the class, so a clean 2022 can land you somewhere around $24,000 used. That's the kind of price you'd expect on a basic family sedan, not an off-road truck that turns into a convertible. But I have to be straight with you, because the reliability reputation on this year is all over the map, and there's a real reason hiding behind it. Certain manual transmission Gladiators built from 2020 through 2023 fall under a recall where the clutch pressure plate can overheat and fracture, and Chrysler logged reports of engine compartment fires tied to it, with most happening while the trucks were parked and switched off. Therefore, the rule on a 2022 is dead simple. Buy the automatic V6, skip the stick shift entirely, and you sidestep the single biggest headache this year ever had. Do that, and you've got a bargain that'll run for years. However, the next truck flips everything you think you know about new versus old. That bridges us straight into number 4, the brand new 2026 Jeep Gladiator. Normally a fresh truck is a gamble, because nobody knows the long-term gremlins yet. The 2026 Gladiator is different, and here's the hidden reason most buying guides skip right past it. Jeep just deleted the 2 most problem-prone versions of this truck. The diesel engine is gone, and the plug-in hybrid that everyone kept waiting for? Jeep kept teasing it, kept pushing it back, and then Stellantis confirmed in late September 2025 that it was scrapping the electrified Gladiator entirely, before a single one ever reached a dealer lot. So the diesel fuel pump nightmares and the battery question marks simply don't exist on this truck. What you get instead is the new Willys 41 edition, a military-inspired throwback that nods to the old Kaiser Jeep M715, starting at $47,840, with steel bumpers and chunky tires bolted on from the factory. It slots neatly into the lineup between the standard Willys and the Rubicon, and Jeep's treating it as one of its new buzz models, the limited drops it's been releasing almost monthly to keep the lineup fresh. But the bigger story dropped in August 2025. Jeep's CEO, Bob Broderdorf, stood in front of media and said the 6.4-liter Hemi V8 will have a home at Jeep, and Car and Driver reported that the Gladiator is in line for its own Rubicon 392 V8 model. This isn't happening in a vacuum either. Stellantis has been pivoting hard back toward big gas engines, partly because the federal fuel economy fines that once pushed those engines out got eased. Jeep already brought the Hemi back to the Ram 1500 and rolled out a 2026 Wrangler Willys 392, packing a 470 horsepower 6.4-liter V8. Jeep hasn't locked in a firm on-sale date for the V8 Gladiator yet, so treat it as coming rather than confirmed for tomorrow. Even so, the Gladiator is expected to stay in production at least into 2028, and a V8 version is exactly the kind of machine people hang on to for 30 years and watch climb in value. Therefore, if you want the newest, cleanest, most future-proof Gladiator with real collector upside baked in, 2026 is your year. However, if you want the best bang for your buck on this entire list, The truck sitting right in the middle might be the smartest money you ever spend. Quick side note, if you own a Jeep and want it to last as long as possible, check out my 500,000-mile Jeep blueprint. It covers the maintenance habits most owners overlook that can save you thousands. The link is in the description below. Now we hit the heart of the list with number 3, the 2023 Jeep Gladiator. This one is the value king, and it carries a piece of history barely anybody talks about. The 2023 Gladiator was the very last year you could buy the 3.0-liter eco-diesel engine, which had only run for 3 model years starting in 2021. Jeep sent it off with a special edition called the Rubicon Far Out. They built exactly 1,000 of them, priced at $69,995, and once they sold out, the diesel was dead for good. That Far Out wasn't just a sticker package either. It came with a commemorative diesel 3.0-liter hood graphic, exclusive tailgate badging, 33-inch mud terrain tires, a steel front bumper, and heavy-duty Dana 44 axles front and rear. The diesel itself put down 442 pound-feet of torque, the most in the midsize class, with a driving range comfortably over 500 miles on a tank, and it returned around 28 miles per gallon combined, the best fuel economy in its class. And here's a detail diesel fans love. The Wrangler had already lost its diesel a year earlier, after 2022, which left the 2023 Gladiator as the last diesel Jeep you could buy new anywhere. So that Far Out is already a genuine collector's truck. But that isn't even the strongest part of the 2023 story. Here's the fact that should grab you. The 2023 Gladiator topped the J.D. Power initial quality study for midsize pickups, tying for the fewest early problems in its class during the first 90 days of ownership. That's an award-winning truck you can now buy used for the price of a basic commuter car, since these Gladiators depreciate so hard in the early years. Now I'll give you one warning because it genuinely matters. The eco-diesel models from 2021 through 2023 are tied to a recall on the Bosch high-pressure fuel pump. When that pump fails, it can throw metal shavings through the entire fuel system, which means new injectors, new lines, sometimes a whole new tank. So if you go chasing that Far-Out diesel, make sure the fuel pump recall has already been completed and documented on the service record. Stick to the gas V6 with the automatic, and you've got an easy long hauler that'll outlast the loan. If this countdown's helping you sort out which Gladiator to chase, do me a quick favor and tap that subscribe button, because the next pick might just be the safest Gladiator Jeep has ever built. However, number 2 is the safest bet of the whole bunch, the 2025 Jeep Gladiator. If your goal is to buy once and never deal with drama, this is the truck. So far, the 2025 Gladiator has stayed clear of the recalls that hammered the earlier model years. The death wobble settlement, the clutch fires, the diesel fuel pump, and the big instrument panel recall all cap out at 2024 or earlier, which leaves the 2025 sitting clean on the list. That alone sets it apart from almost every year that came before it. But it gets better, because in June 2025, J.D. Power named the Gladiator the #1 midsize pickup in its initial quality study again, and it led the segment in 7 out of 10 measured categories, including the driving experience, the infotainment, and the interior. In that study, it outscored rivals like the Toyota Tacoma, the Chevy Colorado, and the Ford Ranger, and the win helped lift the whole Jeep brand 13 points year over year. That's the second time in just 3 years the Gladiator wore that crown, which is a remarkable turnaround for a truck that limped out of the gate. Now here's a sneaky win most shoppers never connect. Jeep dropped the 6-speed manual for 2025 and made the 8-speed automatic standard on every single trim. That sounds boring on paper, but remember the clutch fire recall that haunted the older manual trucks? It can't touch you here, because the exact part that caused it was designed right out of the lineup. Jeep also repositioned the price, so the base Sport now starts around $39,995 with the destination fee included. The automatic you used to pay roughly $2,500 extra for is now built in, which actually works out cheaper than the 2024, and Jeep threw in standard power windows and locks across the board. There's even a heritage-inspired military olive color that pays tribute to the original 1941 Willys. Jeep also slimmed the range down to 8 trims for 2025, from the base Sport all the way up to the loaded Rubicon X. So you're looking at a cleaner, safer, award-winning truck with a tidy recall record and more standard kit. Therefore, for pure peace of mind, the 2025 is almost impossible to beat. But there's still one truck that edges it out, and it's the one I'd hand over my own money for. And that finally lands us on number 1, the 2024 Jeep Gladiator. This is the Gladiator to buy and never sell, and the reason comes down to one word: the refresh. In 2024, Jeep gave the Gladiator a proper midlife makeover and fixed nearly everything owners have been griping about for years. You got a 12.3-inch touchscreen, which Jeep calls the biggest in the class, running the newer Uconnect 5 system with wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, replacing the small screen that came before it. First and second row side curtain airbags became standard for the first time. Forward collision warning and adaptive cruise control showed up as standard on the Sport S and higher trims. Jeep even folded in its adventure guides, with turn-by-turn off-road trail data for places like the Rubicon Trail baked right into the navigation. The exterior picked up a fresh 7-slot grille, 7 new wheel designs, and a trail-ready antenna built into the windshield, and the refresh nudged the numbers up too, with max towing climbing to 7,700 pounds and payload up to 1,725 pounds. On top of all that, Jeep launched 2 new premium versions, the Mojave X and the Rubicon X, loaded with steel bumpers, an integrated off-road camera, and Nappa leather seats, plus power-adjustable front seats, tested to survive water fording. Those X models topped out around $63,000, while a base Sport still started under $38,000, so there's a 2024 to fit nearly any budget. Taken together, the 2024 finally feels like the truck the Gladiator should have been from day one, more modern inside, safer, and far more sorted than those early builds. But here's the detail that truly seals it for the long game. The 2024 was the very last year you could pair the old-school 6-speed manual with all that modern tech, because the 2025 went automatic only. There are even reports now that Jeep might bring the manual back in a future model year, but for the moment, the 2024 is the only Gladiator that hands you a clutch pedal and the giant new screen in the same cab. The diesel was already gone by 2024, so the fuel pump risk vanished with it. I'll keep it honest though, the 2024 isn't flawless, since it does get swept into that 2020 to 2024 instrument panel recall, so check that the cluster fix has been done before you sign anything. Sort that one item out, and the 2024 is the smartest long-term keeper of the entire run. However, before you go hand over any cash, you need to know which years will bite you hard. But before you go shopping, here are the Gladiator years to avoid. The big trap is the 2020, the truck everybody chases because it's the cheapest one on the lot. It launched at around $33,500 new, which is a big part of why the used ones look so tempting today. It racked up the biggest pile of recalls of any Gladiator year, which is exactly what tends to happen when a brand new model hits the road before the bugs are worked out. Its steering was prone to the death wobble, where the front end shakes so violently it feels like the truck might rattle itself apart at highway speed. Jeep eventually settled a class action lawsuit over it, agreeing to pay up to nearly $4 million in attorney fees and extending the warranty on the front suspension damper to 8 years or 90,000 miles. That kind of settlement only happens when the problem is very real, so only buy a 2020 if the steering parts have been upgraded and the recall work is documented on paper. The second trap is any eco-diesel from 2021 through 2023 that still hasn't had its high-pressure fuel pump recall completed, because that Bosch pump can grenade and send shrapnel straight through your whole fuel system. The third trap is any manual transmission truck from 2020 through 2023, unless you can prove the clutch fire recall was already handled. And there's one more that catches a lot of years in one net. Jeep recalled roughly 33,000 Gladiators and Wranglers from the 2020 through 2024 range because the instrument panel cluster could short-circuit and go blank, wiping out your speedometer and fuel gauge while you drive. Each of those checks takes about 5 minutes to confirm, and they're the difference between a great buy and a slow bleeding money pit. If you're shopping for a Jeep Gladiator, hopefully this video helped you avoid the costly mistakes and find the year that's right for you. Let me know in the comments which Gladiator you'd choose and why. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to subscribe, because we've got plenty more Jeep guides, buying advice, and owner tips coming your way. Thanks for watching. Tap on the screen for the next video, and I'll see you there.